What's up, guys? This is the Musical Nihilist back with match number 3 of draft duel number 1. So, yeah, I'm just showing you guys the footage that we got. Hopefully, you guys enjoy it. So, it looks like I win the dice roll, and I set one monster, one back row, and pass. Herman immediately moves with Soul Exchange, tributing my set monster for a Curse of Anubis, and I respond with a Torrential Tribute. Then it looks like I can't do anything, so I pass it back to him. And it looks like Herman can't do much either since he sets a monster and passes back to me. I summon a Lila and attack over his face down. His face down ends up being a Cradle monster, and its destruction sets off his Bayrick Dragon in the hand. And I respond by tributing my Lila for my Kaiser Glider, forcing the Cradle monster to miss timing. And Herman continues by setting a monster in the back row and passing it back to me. I speed things up with a Graceful Charity, discarding my Radiant and Cosmo Good Witch. And it looks like in the battle phase, I'm just going to attack over his face down monster. And it's revealed that Herman has a Magic Cylinder dealing direct burn damage. And with nothing to follow up on, I pass it back to Herman, who sacrifices his face down Pelta for Endless Decay. The Endless Decay gets boosted to 2800 attack. Then he banishes 2 dinosaurs to bring out the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno and swings over my Kaiser Glider, which triggers the effect of my Chronograph Sorcerer in hand and activates his second effect to special summon another monster in my hand. And I'm able to bring out my Danger Bigfoot. On my turn, I mill 3 cards with Card Trooper, and I also banish a light and a dark for the summon of Chaos Emperor Dragon, but Herman immediately responds with the effect of Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, destroying his Endless Decay and setting my cards face down. Then I banish another light and another dark to summon Chaos End Creator. Then I use Chaos End Creator to revive my Kaiser Glider from the banish zone, and I use Kaiser Glider's effect to copy the attack of Ultimate Conductor Tyranno so I can crash them both, clearing it from the field. However, when I attempt to attack with my Chaos End Creator, he uses Call of the Haunted to revive his Ultimate Conductor Tyranno since he summoned it properly. Then on his turn, he follows up with a Graceful Charity. Yes, there are 2 in the draft, discarding 2 cards. And he also summons an Assault Beast, moving to the battle phase and cleaning up my field with the effect of the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, dealing burn damage and swinging over my monsters. And with that, he deals another swift victory. So yeah, Herman seems to have a lot of good luck when going first, since he always seems to win in a really quick and aggressive fashion. So I start off the turn, normal summoning my Stratos and adding my Elemental Hero Neos, and then it looks like I'm going to follow up with just 2 set back row and pass it back to him. So yeah, not a very fast start. He starts off with a Perform Power Whip Snake, and immediately uses its effect to beat over my Stratos, but I respond with a Sakuretsu Armor. During the main phase 2, he sets 2 cards and passes back. On my turn, I summon a Gemini Elf and attempt to attack for damage, and both monsters do make contact with his life points, so that does put me ahead in life points. So on Herman's turn, he sets a monster and passes it back, and on my turn, I attempt to attack over his face down, but this is where I think Herman misplayed really hard. He activates a Mirror Wall in response to my Gemini Elf's attack, even though his Beat Raptor had plenty of defense to defend it off. I just think he got greedy. He told me he wanted to deal more damage, but I think that was a major misplay that might end up costing him the game. He uses Soul Exchange to tribute summon for Curse of Anubis, but on my turn, I use Sinful Spoils to put it in a spell and trap card zone. Then I summon Salamandra and banish the Gemini Elves from my grave to boost his attack and beat over the Beat Raptor. However, after its destruction, he gets off his Bayrick Dragon, and I attempt to banish it with Ice Dragon's Prison, but he pays half his life points with Solemn Judgment to negate the effect. In main phase 2, I activate the effect of Danger Jackalope, and Herman discards the Neos from my hand, allowing me to draw a card, and I draw into the Ankamu Fright, which lets me draw another card. And with not much else, I'm just able to set a card and pass it back to him. During his turn, he beats over my Salamandro with his Bayrick Dragon, dealing some damage and setting a monster, and passing it back to me. And on my turn, I banish a Light and a Dark for Chaos End Creator, and I use the Creator to special summon the Neos from the Banish Zone. Then during the battle phase, I use my Neos to attack over his Bayrick Dragon, I use my Chaos End Creator to attack over his Beat Raptor, and I attack into his face down with my Stratos, but it ends up being a Pelta, dealing some defense damage to my life points, and I pass it back to him. Herman sets a card, and he sacrifices his Pelta to tribute summon a Warrock Oprus, and he passes back to me. I move straight into battle phase, but he activates Armory Call to search and activate Mage Power, boosting his Warrock monster to 3100, but I just respond with Bad Luck Blast, clearing it from the field and just attacking for game. So yeah, not too bad of a round 2. I feel like Herman's Dinosaur engine is definitely coming through for him, and my Chaos engine is definitely putting in some work. Herman starts off with a set monster, and on my turn I summon Skilled Dark Magician, trying to attack over the set monster, but it ends up being a Shrine, which deals defense damage. On his turn, he starts things off with Soul Exchange, tributing my Skilled Dark Magician for an Endless Decay, and the Endless Decay gets boosted to 3900, and he sets a card and passes back to me. On my turn, I just set a monster and pass it back to him. I noticed that Endless Decay in the early game is very strong. He uses the Endless Decay to attack my face down, but my face down is revealed to be an old Vindictive Magician, which removes it from the field. Then I proceed with a Dragonies. I use a Shield and Sword to switch the attack and defense of the monsters so I can beat over his Shrine, and I pass it back to him. Then he sets a card and passes back to me. I try to activate Reasoning, but he guesses the right level, and it calls a level 4. So I just summon a Sleeper and attack into his face down monster, dealing some defense damage since it has 2000 defense. He passes it back to me, and on my turn, I draw into Graceful Charity to help speed things up, and discard 2 cards from my hand. So that looks like a Chronograph and the Phantom of Chaos. Then I follow up with a Painful Choice, and he gives me the Raiden. Then, after thinning my deck out of 5 cards, I activate the Ankh of Fright, which allows me to draw a card, and I activate a Karma Cut to try to get rid of the Pelta, discarding the Raiden that was handed to me. But since I can't beat over the Pelta, I just set a card and pass it back to him. And this is where my camera died while we were playing. Luckily, not too many turns had passed. He beats over my Ankh of Fright with his Ashuna, which is boosted by a Mage Power. And during the end phase, I revive my Salamandra using Oasis of Dragon Souls, and I use its effect to banish 2 cards and boost it to 2450. Now, this is where an invalid battle occurs. I thought that the Ashuna was at 2400, but it's actually at 2600, and even Herman thought it was at 2400 momentarily, so that was a mistake on my part. So yeah, it's important to check the stats on your cards, guys. But he does tribute summon his Pashul for his Bayrick Dragon, and on his turn he activates Pot of Avarice to draw 2 cards, shuffling 5 monsters into his deck, and he just sets 2 more back row and passes. On my turn, I reactivate Salamandra's effect to boost it back up to 2450 and attempt to attack over the Bayrick Dragon, but Herman responds with a combination of half counter and rush recklessly to boost up his Bayrick Dragon, stopping me from battling over it. On his turn, he does set it to defense position and follows up with a Battling Boxer Rabbit Puncher to beat over my set DMZ Dragon. On my turn, I attack over his Rabbit Puncher with my Kaiser Dragon, and he uses the Hallucigena to reduce the battle damage. On my turn, I beat over the Bayrick, and I use my Kaiser Glider to beat over his Gradle Alligator, which he uses to take control of my Kaiser Glider, and then he beats over my Fairy Tale Sleeper, and passing it back to me, which I open with a Pot of Desires, banishing 10 cards. And I pointed to the camera so you guys can see what I got rid of, and I draw 2 more cards. And overall, pretty good draws. I'm holding on to my Protoss for when I'm ready to go for game because I know he has a lot of threats. On his turn, he sets a monster and passes it back to me. And during the end phase, I use my Bad Luck Blast to get rid of my Kaiser Glider, and he chains his Hallucigena in the grave to special summon it. And he does make a bit of an invalid play. He puts it in defense position, and its effect forces it to get someone in attack position. But I do record the appropriate battle damage that he would have taken. And on his turn, he tries to come back with a Pot of Greed. And here's another invalid play. He tries to summon the Endless Decay, but it doesn't matter. I think he just read it wrong. He banishes 2 dinosaurs for Electromagnetic Conductor and Tribute Burial for Buster Blader, and attacks over my field for game. So yeah, thanks for watching. Sorry for the game errors. I'll try to keep that to a minimum next time. Thanks again. See you guys.